it's actually a very complex painting. A lot of different things being experimented with all in one painting. And one was, and I'd done it in a few paintings, is the idea of an incomplete painting. Mirroring life, that we are never complete, we're never perfect, we're always a work in progress and always evolving and changing and never done, you know. So partly drawn, partly painted, and I rather like it. I really enjoy that combination of complete and incomplete. And the other thing it was experimenting with was the smile. When I'm working with models, I never ask them to adopt any expression. I never mess with that. I think that has to come naturally. So I'll give them a visualization, and the more they can lose themselves, and I can get someone that is unstaged, the more unstaged, the better, I think. But in this case, I staged it and wanted a smile. But the smile is just about impossible in paintings. It can't work because the painting is a still thing. It's frozen, a frozen image, and a style is a transitory expression. And the Laughing Cavalier that he tried, but the guy is barely smiling. It just can't work. So in this, you've got an attempted smile, but all it does is make you feel turbulent and unsure about it. So it's like a superficial smile, but actually a combination of loss and grief and uncertainty. Yeah, so maybe that works quite nicely with the incompletion of the painting. Maybe that works well with that. I've never been sure about this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually like the disruption of that combination. I used it in quite a few paintings. And then I discovered that what I had to do to make it work was I had to have an unfinished border, which comes and goes also. There's an unfinished border all the way around the edge. I have to, in a sense, I have to underline the fact that it's a painting, rather than, like most of them, a window on another reality. Here I'm saying, no, it's not. This is a painting. So it's, it doesn't even go to the edge. Look, this is not real. Yeah, so I want to keep reminding the viewer of that. Yeah, I do. This is an interesting subject, because I do feel that the cups of tea are very important, and the presence of tea. Now, I really don't know why. I mean, obviously I grew up in London with tea, tea was served all the time. It was never black. I chose black. I only ever had black tea in paintings. I mean, normally I would associate tea with meeting with someone. You have tea, you meet, it's about connection. But that wasn't my experience as a child, but there was always tea on the table. So there's something else in this. I don't know what it is. There's some other reason for it to be black and for it to be ever present. And by the way, I love this organisation of cups. I just love that, those handles and everything. I think it's wonderful. I'm admiring my own painting. and it's flattened. In my paintings, and these are not very good examples of this, but for almost all the time it had mixed perspective and a flattened quality, more reminiscent of Picasso's cubism, the cubist flattening, where you could see the side of the vase and also see into the vase at the very same time, and the table was turned up and was flat, and the floor pattern became a flat pattern on the canvas. I always, well, I've had that for the last several years, and the reason is I love the honesty of that. The last time we really saw that in art history was in the altarpieces of the 1500s. Those altarpieces had this flat perspective before Brunelleschi brought in optical perspective. But in fact, when children draw, young children don't draw in optical perspective. They draw in flat, what you might call honest perspective. Because in fact, the reality of the vase is you can see into it, and you can see the side, and the table is round, it's not an ellipse, and the floor has a pattern where the squares are squares. So this is actually a truth. Optical perspective is an illusion. An illusion brought about by a single, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch pupil viewed from one point gives you this illusory perspective here, which swept the history of art from then on. The truth is, I think it's awkward. I think it's an awkward composition. I like the fact that there's a hand coming in almost horizontally and a stack of cups just going up and up. It's very flattened and it's crammed in beside this face. So I mean, it, in a way, shouldn't work. It's so absurd. The tea would tip out of the cup if any of this was real, and you wouldn't see what was behind the cup in this way. It's all completely impossible, but it is in fact a truth, because you can see into the cup. You can see these, if you look, all these are truths, but not optical truths. So it's so put together somehow. It worries me on the one hand, and it delights me on the other. It's like that. Yeah.
Any questions from...
I do have a question, actually. I want to go back to what you said about incompleteness and how it bothers you. And do you think it's sort of some of that, this painting makes a statement, something about like control and how much we can control, and almost like you say, you like your paintings to be controlled, where often life isn't.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Does this make somewhat of a statement of how much do we actually control even our own work, our own creative work? How much does creativity just branch out away from us into subconscious and stuff like that, to subconscious?
Yeah. It's a good thought. Because in many ways these paintings they're largely engineering. I don't like paintings that attempt to look clever. It's in a way the engineering of a child. It's engineering, but in all other respects, I think I try to let go. I try to let go and not be overly controlled. allow happenstance to feed into it. Happenstance and accident, and to never forget that it's a painting. So to tip up the perspective, making shapes very deliberately, so these are only really conceptual reminders of a cup of tea, actually, but it's all built and flattened, a flat painting, yeah. Does that make sense?
I'd say so.
What I really mean by that is that when I come to a painting, I come to it as like a child, really. I come to it without a sense of having a whole bunch of skills. I come to it and just do my best. I'm not conscious of any gimmicks, any skills, any cleverness. I just come to it and worry about whether I'm capable of doing it. It's that. I have no sense of pride in it at all. Yeah. Not saying that's a virtue, not at all. That's just how I feel. And I know it because you talk about art careers. The vast majority of an art career is in a room on your own. Not on the street or in the New York gallery, but in a room with a bunch of paint, so. Yeah.
Is there anything else you think, do you feel like that's covered?
I think so, yeah.
I think so as well.
I feel I'm rambling again, really.
It's all good.